The violence we fear, the violence we participate in, human beings are violent, physically and verbally, and the nuances of that violence is explored really, really well in this series. What's up? It's Nikki. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be reviewing season 1 of the series Big Little Lies, a show that reveals just how imperfect the lives actually are of seemingly perfect upper-class mothers. Oh, and there's a murder. This was an interesting look into a very privileged world of women, all of the ugliness that is revealed in such wealthy, polished, stand-up individuals. Now, while this was an interesting exploration, I found that it underwhelmed for me and was really lackluster. I personally did not connect or relate to anyone, and I really didn't root for anyone. Well, maybe except Jane. Jane was the most authentic of all of the characters, in my opinion. She had a secret, yes, regarding her being assaulted, but I really wouldn't even call that a secret because it's just not anyone's business, and it's not something that you shout from the mountaintops. But regardless of this secret, Jane was the only character for me who was not completely living a facade. Jane was wrestling with demons from her past assault. She had some mystery when she moved to the town, but Jane was authentic in who she was as a person and how she presented herself. Nah, the polar opposite of that for me was Nicole Kidman's character Celeste, who seemingly is the most ideal, has the most ideal life of all the women. Beautiful, wealthy, intelligent, a successful lawyer before she became a stay-at-home mom, an attractive, younger husband devoted to her. Now, as ideal as Celeste's life seems to be, in actuality, she is hiding the most ugliness of all of the women. Celeste is in an abusive marriage, and what was crazy to me is that Celeste did not just keep up a facade with the town, she kept up a facade even with her closest friends. Celeste lives a lie even in her friendship with Reese Witherspoon's character Madeline, who is Celeste's closest friend but also sees Celeste and her life as perfect. I was pretty annoyed with all of the women except Jane and Celeste. They were just so just obnoxious. The women were so obnoxious, especially Madeline Child, especially Renata. Nicole Kidman was interesting anytime she was on screen, and Celeste was just such a layered and dynamic character. The tension between Celeste and her husband Perry was so freaking good, played by Alexander Skarsgård. Just a master class of acting. Celeste refusing to see herself as a victim, and I actually feel like this was a great story to tell, because women who are victims of domestic violence are not just docile women who do not fight back. You can fight back and engage in the violence while still being victimized. As Celeste actively engaged in the violence and the abusive sex, I feel like that gave Celeste a power to feel more like a participant and less like a victim. But the veil had to be removed because Celeste was blind and just pretty delusional to so many elements. Most importantly, she was blind to how the abuse was affecting her kids. Celeste made the comment multiple times to the therapist that Celeste and Perry eventually seek out about how their 6-year-old twin boys were not aware or affected by the violence in their relationship. I just have no clue how you could think that. I like how her journey is fleshed out. I like that with the therapist, Celeste comes to these realizations on her own. The therapist helps Celeste to peel back and unveil her patterns and thoughts of denial and self-delusion. The solo therapy scenes were the best of the series for me. So uncomfortable, so heartbreaking, so emotional, brilliantly acted. Just such realism in how Celeste just was refusing to see herself as a victim of violence and refusing to see her kids as victims of violence. When Celeste accuses the therapist of being unprofessional and of demonizing Perry, Nicole Kidman looked physically uncomfortable whenever the therapist would start to speak about Perry in his absence. Just top notch, top tier. I loved how they displayed the control and the manipulation from Perry. When Perry says he has demons and he needs help and he's willing to go to therapy, blah, 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 I did not take that as genuine. I took that as more manipulation to keep Celeste. When she just goes to a meeting to help Madeline and Perry fears she's going back to being a lawyer and now suddenly he wants them to have another baby. Another form of control and keeping Celeste locked down. Using Celeste's past struggles against her as a tool to make her feel alone, isolated, like she has no one but him. Perry tells her, if you fall apart again, who is going to put you back together? Me. Abuse 101. And Celeste's husband calling her Sparkles, child, was so freaking creepy to me. It was so creepy. The way he would say it, I don't know. It made my skin crawl. I hated anytime he said that. One thing this show does succeed at is making you think. And I love that. I love shows like that. The stalking fear of male violence and male aggression suddenly erupting, which was displayed so well with Perry and Celeste. Such a tension anytime he was near her. You never knew if he was going to kiss her or hit her, which is in essence an abusive relationship. The fear of male violence or male aggression is also displayed in how Renata's husband approaches Jane. Also in the subplot of Renata's 6-year-old daughter being a victim of violence by Celeste's son Max. Now, I actually really liked how this played out and the themes that were explored. The threat Emma Bella faced by a boy falsely accusing another boy because of the fear of male violence from the actual perpetrator. It really is brilliant to me. Emma Bella and Max, Celeste and Perry, the truth of how women have to navigate a world with the constant fear of being the victim of male aggression or male violence, even from such a young age. I like how they explored the theme of nature versus nurture, with Ziggy being a product of a violent attack, which is how he was conceived, and wondering if he inherited his father's violence, if that had an impact, but also the two boys who were being raised in the household with the violent father, but only one of the boys who were raised in that household was being violent. Now, while there were some really great topics explored in interesting ways, what killed the enjoyment for me was the cattiness amongst the women. The feuds just felt so juvenile. Like, bruh, y'all ain't got nothing better to do. Oh my God, y'all. It was just, it was killing me. Such small disagreements and differences escalated so easily. The interactions just felt so trivial and petty and melodramatic. It was exhausting. A standout for me was when Madeline's husband Ed meets with her ex-husband in the park. Lord Jesus, talk about juvenile. The whole, are you threatening me? I feel like you threatening me. Is that a threat? You threat. It was so freaking dumb. And when the ex-husband first brought it up, I'm sitting here like, bro, ain't nothing sound like no threat to me. Like, y'all grown adult men, what are y'all doing? The 6-year-olds were more mature than the adults. Like, y'all, it was crazy. Also, the witnesses in the interrogation room were so vapid and absurd. Constantly cutting to the interrogation room was really starting to annoy me, and it got old really freaking fast, especially because it's not like we was really getting anything or getting any information, and it just didn't make any sense to me. We are questioning people about a murder, and they are talking about people's sex lives and other vain-ish. Like, what are we doing? Oh God, I didn't understand. I mean, I would think that stuff that we're talking about had absolutely nothing to do with a freaking murder investigation. Like, someone is dead. Why are you talking about people's looks and other vain-ish? I didn't get it. I hated sitting through an entire series of women pitted against each other and being so catty and petty. It was excruciating. And then dragging kids into the ish. The way Renata invites all the kids in class to Amabella's birthday in front of Ziggy and does not invite him. I cannot imagine no grown adult doing that. Ziggy overhearing one of the moms call him a little monster, that is disgusting and disturbing. And I get not inviting a kid that you think hurting your child, but to do it in front of the whole class. The way the parents went against Ziggy with no actual proof. The way Renata never even considered that her daughter lied when she pointed out Ziggy as her attacker. I mean, she's 6 years old. She was attacked. The dumb-ass teacher who appeared to have only been a teacher for like, what, 5 motherfucking seconds? Because a dodo bird could have handled that situation better. To say she handled that situation terribly is an extreme understatement. I mean, for Renata to not even consider that her daughter may have been too scared to finger the actual perpetrator, especially given the fact that after pointing out Ziggy the first time, she never points him as her attacker again. She just simply refuses to say, "Hello, Renata." Like, Jesus, y'all really going this hard with no proof? Like, it's insane. And I get it. If my daughter was being attacked, I would be fired the hell up. But I am not going in a little child's face. That was insane. To go to the mama, okay. But you do not get in a child face as a grown adult woman. And I would take into account that grown women are scared to point out their accuser. Why wouldn't a 6-year-old be? Madeline planning the Disney trip so that a few of the kids did not go to Amabella's birthday. That's not standing up for Ziggy. That's hurting another child. This is about Amabella and her birthday. It is not about Renata. And it felt petty and not an actual cause to stand up for Ziggy when Madeline ends up sticking to the petty, when Renata bites the bullet, calls her to say she was wrong for not inviting Ziggy. He is now invited. Wasn't that the point? And how their daughters are really close and Amabella really wants Chloe. I think that was Madeline's daughter named Chloe. I don't think that was a teenager. I want to say that was a 6-year-old. How she really wants her at the birthday party. The kids are close. And Madeline's daughter even said she'd rather go to Amabella's birthday than a Disney trip. But Madeline's so focused on being Petty LaBelle, she does not give up. At this point, girl, you won. Ziggy gets to go to the birthday party. Man, look, that ish was just so ugly. It was so ugly. Do not pull kids into adult mess. I cannot stand that. Now, I do like how none of the women are strictly good or strictly bad. Well, except Bonnie, but we'll get to that later. The women all have faults, but also have redeeming qualities. Most notably for me, Reese Witherspoon character Madeline. Queen Petty. Child, she was petty in the sky. Madeline was Petty LaBelle. She really got on my last nerve. She was exhausting, but she was such a good friend to Jane and Celeste. A much better friend to someone she really just met than I would have thought she would be by her actions with the other women. Madeline was the first person in 6 years that Jane told about her assault, that Jane trusted with this information, given how scared she was of how they would treat Ziggy if they found out. Madeline was sensitive and loyal and fierce in her love for her friends, It did seem to me that a lot of the hate and disdain for other women was mainly about the woman herself. For example, Madeline resenting the high-powered career moms and feeling like it was us versus them, while simultaneously feeling unfulfilled or unhappy being a stay-at-home mom. She tells Ed, "You have your business and I don't. I'm a mom," which I took as I'm just a mom. Also, Renata, Lord child, Renata, projecting her fears of not being able to protect her daughter, feeling insecure as a mother because she's a career mom. She even said something along the lines when she was talking to her husband of what kind of mother would choose a career over her child. Now, child, Renata, she was the worst for me. Renata was bat-ish crazy. She was so irate and emotionally out of control. Renata and Madeline were extreme. Like, they were two peas in a pod. I don't know why they weren't the best of friends. The way Renata flipped out when she saw the bite mark on her daughter. Come on now, man. Come on now. You cannot flip out like that in front of the child who is already traumatized from being an abused child. How the hell is you, like, how is that creating a safe space for her to be able to tell the truth on who is abusing her child? I'm gonna shut down even more if my mama acting irate like that. Another annoyance for me was, why do these women care so much about what people they do not even like think about them? Now, personally, I would have preferred if this were strictly a character study with no murder mystery, because that part of the story, Lord, it really underwhelmed for me. It really underwhelmed. The series built up this feud between the women and the feud between Ed and Nathan. All the shots of the witnesses in the interrogation room were focused on the women and their dynamics and cattiness and this feud. The feud between Renata and Jane regarding her son Ziggy being accused and suspected of abusing Renata's daughter. All of this tension is built up and expected to finally come to a head at trivia night. But the actual trivia night murder had absolutely nothing to do with any of that buildup. The climax of trivia night was Perry unraveling and attacking Celeste in front of the women. Now, as I was watching the series, around like episode 3, I would say, I suspected that Perry was going to kill Celeste. I thought their volatile relationship was going to lead to murder. However, the way the feuds amongst the women was highlighted and built up, I figured, well, okay, I guess the trivia night murder will be amongst the women. I guess one of the women attacked one of the other and one of them died. The tension and conflict was building amongst the women. Am I the only one who felt like that's what the story was building to? Those interrogation scenes just made no motherfucking sense. And then I had to hear a bunch of foolishness from the witnesses, who ain't witness-ish, in the interrogation room. But then, once we get the actual women who were involved and were actually witnesses, and there for the murder in the interrogation room, it goes silent. And they don't even let us hear that part. So I had to sit through all that other foolishness, but I can't sit and hear what. Child, I don't get it. Is this some artistic itch that's just flying over my motherfucking head? The waves crashing in the middle of the big murder scene was annoying me. And it hurt my eyes, child. The silence in the scene was annoying me. Child, is this some artistic itch that's just flying over my head, child? Because I didn't enjoy it. That got on my nerve. I did not like it. I want to hear. I want to see. This is what y'all built up to. I waited 7 episodes for y'all to, give me pieces of the story, pieces of the big murder reveal. Now, the murder scene started as a really great scene for me. The look on Jane's face when she recognizes Perry as her attacker, the silence, and acknowledgement between Jane, Madeline, and Celeste. Lord, it is a masterclass on acting. Those glances, that tension, it was so freaking good. Even as Renata started to recognize that danger, something was wrong, the solidarity of all the women, finally, god dang finally, it was emotional and a great climax to such freaking petty-ish. But for me, it was a little overshadowed by how it gets wrapped up. It feels really just conveniently wrapped with a bow. I mean, we cover up a murder and suddenly we're all the best of friends. I mean, how did fighting Perry fix all of the women's issues? Is it no longer the high-powered career moms versus stay-at-home or part-time moms? What are we doing? Does Renata no longer feel the pressure of proving her motherhood and love for her daughter? I'm kind of unclear. Did all the differences and disdain that Madeline had for Bonnie suddenly disappear? I mean, what did we actually work out? And then the scene of everybody, all the women and their kids on the beach together. Now, look, hold on now. When Renata thought that Ziggy was the one abusing her daughter, she did not want them playing together. She didn't want the child nowhere near her daughter. But after finding out that it is Max that is the one abusing her daughter, she cool with them playing together? I don't understand. I don't get it. Y'all, what am I missing? And what about Madeline's other issues? None of them were resolved. She still has a passionless marriage. Her mistress, wait, what's the male word for mistress? Is she no longer holding a grudge and resentment towards her ex-husband? I really didn't like that Perry had to die. It felt a bit melodramatic for the story to end like that. Like I said, I feel like I would have preferred if this were just strictly a character study with no murder. Yes, Perry could have unraveled and attacked Celeste, and the women could have all banded together as they did to help fight him off. But I don't know, man. Him dying just really felt melodramatic. For 7 episodes, nothing felt like a murder mystery. It felt like a soap opera, so to speak. It felt like a drama, like a character study. So the murder for me, it just felt out of place. Also, what are we saying in the fact that Celeste and Jane were only, freed from their abuser once he was dead? And Perry was an active part of his twin boy's life. So how will his death affect them? I mean, are kids going to be just frolicking on the beach after their dad dies? Now, as far as it being revealed that Perry is Jane's attacker, convenient, but I buy it. I really do, because Perry is sexually violent with his wife, and he is always away from home on business. It is a small town. Their kids are in the same class. It is realistic to me that Celeste and Jane would befriend each other. I also feel like Jane was assaulted in this town or near this town. Reading between the lines, I feel like Jane came to this town specifically for the purpose to find her attacker, to find him here. The scene when she wouldn't really tell her son why they moved to this town, the flashes of her chasing her attacker, footprints on the beach, also the information that she gives Madeline regarding where she's from, where she moved from, it's plausible. It's plausible for Perry to be her attacker. I don't know. I buy it. I'm fine with that. Now, what I do not understand is why we lied to the police. What was the point of that? The murder was self-defense, clear cut. All of the women were trying to fight off Perry, who was attacking Celeste. Why did we lie? I'm so confused. Now, one of my biggest gripes with this series is the character of Bonnie. I am not one of those people who feel like I have to have diversity in everything that I watch, right? If you telling a white story, then tell your story, child, and keep it white, okay? That does not bother me. However, if you are going to have a black character, I feel it is extremely tone deaf to ignore and not acknowledge that character's blackness. How that blackness dictates and affects how the character is seen and interacted with. It's giving, we don't know what we doing. Madeline highlights all the ways that her and Bonnie are different, but never mentions that Bonnie is black. She never explores how Bonnie being black may play into her feelings about Bonnie being with her ex-husband and her feelings towards Bonnie just in general. Even in how the other characters speak about Bonnie, she is not like the other moms, but Bonnie is not like the other moms for more than just the reasons that are presented to us. Bonnie, our only non-white character, not including the little background characters, is the only one who is not self-centered, neurotic, control freak. Bonnie is the only one of the women who is not layered. Somehow she hones in on Perry and that whole situation at trivia night and decides to follow him. We see nothing from Bonnie's point of view until this moment when she comes in and saves the day. Bonnie is on one tone, consistently patient and good. It's giving magical Negro. Bonnie, the only non-white woman we follow, is the only one consistently on this moral high ground, playing peacekeeper. Our white characters get irate, irrational, over emotional, over dramatic, but Bonnie is consistently calm and even keeled. She is the least developed character of all the women. She is not as multidimensional as the other ladies. How the show handles the character of Bonnie, for me, the only biracial woman, the only black woman, in my opinion, it does a disservice in how they are exploring the complexities of female interaction and female friendship. I mean, it's negligence. None of the characters ever acknowledge Bonnie's blackness. I mean, white folk don't say the word black no more. Did I miss something? Are we dealing with race by not mentioning race? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Is that the thing now? I mean, what am I missing, child? Bonnie being separate or different than the other moms is at the center of how the characters see her, but the racial difference is never factored in. It's weird. Bonnie is the only mom who is sexualized and causing lustful stares from the dads as she dances at Emma Bella's birthday party, the 6-year-old's birthday party, while Renata, the white mom, dancing does not elicit the same feelings. Don't treat me like I'm stupid, showrunners. I know what I'm seeing. Why are we not mentioning it? The only black mom is sexualized and the other characters express jealousy and resentment because of that. But moving on, I feel like the violence that we live and experience is displayed very well in this series. The violence amongst women, the verbal and subtle violence, the microaggressions, the violence experienced at the hands of men, the hands of who we love, the violence we fear, the violence we participate in. Human beings are violent, physically and verbally, and the nuances of that violence is explored really, really well in this series. I will give them that. Now, a show that is centered on the experiences of women and motherhood Being strictly heterosexual, for me, the showrunners dropped the ball. We have these layered, dynamic female characters, and they are all in heterosexual relationships. That's fine. That's the story you're telling. But when you are trying to share and explore the nuanced stories of women and motherhood, I just don't feel that it should be explored in strictly heterosexual lens, heterosexual relationships. A big plus though for me with this show is the ages of the women. I love seeing a story that is not just following 20 something and 30 something women. There's more to life. There are more stories to tell. There are still so many adventures left in life, so many lessons and growth beyond those ages. And I do love that the show focuses on those women of those ages. Visually, the series is amazing. The music is spot on, though I am not sure the 6-year-old music taste is believable for me. Big Little Lies explored some really great themes, but for me, it was just way too flawed in execution. I'm sorry. There was little momentum in the dialogue. I found it boring and drawn out at times. I didn't enjoy it, but I stuck with it because I wanted to see this trivia night they kept talking about. I wanted to see how it would end. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like my content, please make sure you support my channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you will be alerted when I post TV show, movie reviews. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.